So we're witnessing a shocking change in the country right now. Last year, if you asked people, should the federal workforce be political? Should it be partisan? Most people would look at you and say, no, it shouldn't. But things are changing. This year, people are saying it should. 90% of Republicans in 2024 said the federal workforce should remain apolitical. But this year, it's 60%. So let me ask you, what do you believe? Do you think that over 1 million federal workers should mirror the president's political ideology? Should that be the way that the country is ran? And if that's the case, every time that you apply for a federal government job, you would have a box. You would check your political ideology, either Republican, Democrat, Independent, Green Party, whatever, and you would apply. And only that one political party would actually get any new hires. That's the way it would work. Now, a lot of people are saying, well, the federal government has always leaned to the left. And that is somewhat true. But even in the last presidential election, you had federal workers that voted for Donald Trump. It was like a little bit over 30%. So it's never completely partisan. And if it were, what would that say about awarding contracts? Would you not award contracts to the private companies who have donated to your political cause? You wouldn't award contracts to your political enemy, and that's the problem inherent within the political system. It rewards loyalty over following the law. Now, we had a system in the past that was exactly that. It rewarded political loyalty. It was the spoils system. Now, you and I, we weren't around because this was in the 1800s, but you can open up a history book and you can see everything that was wrong with it. Then look at the Nixon administration. He politically weaponized agencies in order to attack his enemies. That's the danger. And we heard President Trump in an interview not too long ago, the number one thing that he valued among all other traits and characteristics was loyalty. Over competence, over work ethic, over every single attribute, it's loyalty. But that loyalty, if it's blind loyalty, it can lead you down a dangerous path. And you have one political party in power right now, right? Here's another way to look at it. So the federal government should serve all Americans equally. But if we're looking at, let's say, red states or red counties and we're giving them special treatment, then it goes counter. It erodes the trust of the federal government. You remember probably President Obama, 2012. He said it's not about red states or blue states. It's about the United States. It was a unity message. It was something like that. I'm paraphrasing it. I don't have the exact quote right now. But essentially, he was trying to reach across the aisle and unite people. Now, it didn't work for everybody. That part is clear. But that is what we should strive for. Another way to look at it is partisan and political. They're all subjective. It doesn't matter if you lean to the left, you lean to the right, you stay in the center. It's all subjective. What is objective is the Constitution, the laws. If we're following the laws, if we're following the Constitution, what does it matter which way you lean? What does your political ideology even matter? And here's some more examples, right? FEMA. A hurricane hits an area, a tornado hits the area. Are we going to prioritize funding to red counties or counties that voted for Donald Trump? What about when it comes to the IRS audits? You have CEOs, multi-billion-dollar CEOs. Is Elon Musk going to get audited? Probably not, right? He donated millions of dollars to the Trump administration. Why would he get audited? What about Tim Cook? Well, Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, he leans to the left. Maybe there's a higher probability that Tim Cook gets audited. Look at the EPA. Maybe there's some companies that are violating EPA laws, even though they're, largely getting rolled back. But let's say some companies are violating it. Some companies might get targeted for an investigation and others will not. So right now, about half of all Americans do not believe the president should be involved in federal hiring. Around 50%. That is down from 70% last year. But even despite those numbers, despite a lot of people not wanting the federal workforce to get too politicized, what has the Trump administration been doing recently? Well, they introduced Schedule G, right? That's to hire more political appointees. They've introduced the schedule, policy, and career. That's to make federal employees easier to fire. So all of these efforts, all of this energy and attention coming from the Trump administration clearly shows that he would like the federal workforce, number one, easier to fire, but also he wants more loyalists. He wants to increase the political loyalists that we currently have. And all indications are showing this isn't going to stop anytime soon. But we should all be aware that the more political that the federal workforce gets, the more dangerous and serious the consequences could be. A lot of the recent changes of opinions, the change in sentiment, is because of loyalty to President Trump. There's a lot of Americans that are blindly loyal to him in all regards. Whatever he says, people are lined up saying absolutely. They're ready to co-sign it. And one theory that a lot of people have is one of the reasons why he bashed the federal workforce so much, he criticized and disparaged the federal workforce, is so that he could completely tear it down and reinvent it. So as long as you're sending that strong signal to your supporters that this is broken, this is corrupt, this is not towards your interest, if you're able to communicate that and develop and gain the political capital to tear it down, that's exactly what you can start to do. And we've seen it with the probationary purge. We've seen it with the widespread reductions all across the federal government to each and every agency. Now, we have some agencies that are walking back their layoff plans, but it's clear the goal from day one was to reduce what was there. And there's still low public trust when it comes to the federal government. It increased, I believe, from 22% to 33%. Still very low. It's about the same approval rate that Congress has right about now. So as long as there's a low trust level, the more you can change, the more new radical ideas you can introduce, and you can shape the workforce however you would like. Now, in addition to all of this, we have firefighters preparing for the wildfire season. And unfortunately, right now, there's about 25% of all positions that are vacant within the Forest Service. And this is going to have a huge consequence, not just to you or firefighters that you may or may not know, but it comes down to billions of dollars in damages and lives being lost. So if you want to know more about that, check this video out next. Stay updated by signing up to the free newsletter down below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.